I want to start today with something that I think is the most important distinction in all the work I do. And it is a distinction that most personal development content, including some of mine, does not make clearly enough. There is a difference between understanding your pattern and clearing your pattern. Understanding is the part where I generally talk about the awareness factor. Then also comes a second step, which is the understanding deeper factor. And the correction and clearing comes during and after the time of alignment generally. These are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. And confusing them is why most people who have done significant personal development work, who can describe their loop perfectly, who understand what is that sabotaging thing that gets repeated, what is that emotional loop that keeps on repeating, which area of their life faces the most negative charge and issues. Who can describe their loop perfectly, they also know their triggers intimately, who have read every book on personal development, done every course, and are still running the same pattern. Today, I want to explain exactly why and what clearing actually requires. Understanding is what happens in your mind. You hear about a pattern, you recognize it, you trace it back to where it came from. You can explain it to someone else. You can identify it when it fires. You can write a LinkedIn post about it as well. All of that is real, and none of it clears the pattern in itself. And here is why: the pattern is not stored in your understanding, it is stored in your body, in your nervous system, in the specific neutral pathway that were carved by repeated emotional experiences. Now, before you had the language to question them, your understanding lives in the prefrontal cortex, that is the front region of your brain. Now, the pattern lives in the amygdala and the body. Okay, understanding is in the front part of the brain. All this pattern is in, generally can say, in the amygdala and the body. And these two systems do not automatically communicate with each other in the first place only. Just because you have figured something out intellectually doesn't mean it will get comprehended in your life or in your logical part of the brain. Think about it this way: you can understand completely how a phobia works. The classical conditioning, the neural pathway, the threat response mechanism, and still feel the full fear response when the trigger arrives. The understanding does not reach the place where the fear lives. An emotional pattern works exactly the same way. I see this constantly on clarity calls with everyone I have on the call with, somehow, or someone who comes in and they can describe their loop perfectly. They have read about it, they have journaled about it, they have talked about it with the therapist. They know exactly where it came from, which window, which event, which belief was formed, and then the trigger arrives, and then the loop fires exactly as it always has, with the same intensity, same speed, same automatic completion. Because understanding is not clearing, remember that. Understanding is just the map layout you have in hand. Clearing requires going through the whole territory of it, and the territory is the body. So, what does clearing actually require? Let me be specific, because this is where most approaches to inner work fall short. Clearing requires three things happening in a sequence. I have talked about this before, but I want to go deeper today. Stage 1 is location with feeling, not just location with understanding. Most people can locate their pattern intellectually. They know that exists, okay? They know my fixer loop come from the household where being useful was the only way to earn love in my life. So they have traced it back to the childhood as well. Now that is the location with understanding there itself. Location with feeling is different. It is going back to the specific memory, the specific event in the specific window, and the feeling, the emotion that was stored there. Not thinking about that, not analyzing it, actually feeling it. The way the child felt at that time, not from a distance, from inside that experience. And that whole experience of jotted down and the emotions is recreated in my course to actually feel it, to understand in the first place why that child felt like that, why that child still feels alone, why that child still continues to operate from that identity. This is where most people stop, because feeling the original emotion within or without that adult distance is genuinely uncomfortable. Your system will resist it. It will try to intellectualize instead. It will offer understanding as a substitute for feeling. The clearing does not happen in the understanding, it happens in the feeling. Stage 2 is completion. An emotional charge forms because a feeling did not complete its natural cycle. Something happened, the emotion arose, and then, for whatever reason, usually environmental pressure, the emotion was suppressed rather than expressed. It was stored incomplete. Completion means allowing the emotion to finish the cycle. It was interrupted from the first place. To move through fully, to be felt all the way to the end rather than manage into something safer. This is not a dramatic process. It does not require hours of crying or intense somatic work. Sometimes it is simply sitting with the feeling long enough that the body gets to finish what it started years ago. The tightening that was never released, the grief that was never expressed, the anger that was never acknowledged. Most of this comes from the experience which I create with my clients, and they let go of that feeling. It becomes emotions. There are a lot of emotions. It becomes an emotional journey for them to let go of that. But once they let go of that, they completely operate from a different operating system, you can say. And what happens in that is the thing which was triggering you years after years after years after years, the slow, painful responses that gets acknowledged in one go. It might be heavier than how it is generally in the small incidences, but it comes out in one go, and it is necessary. This is the whole process requires an emotion, requires your whole bodily attitude towards letting go as well. This whole process comes without the form of judgmentalness towards yourself, towards the mentor, towards everything. It comes only when you are entering it with full openness. When the emotion completes, something physically shifts at that time. The charge that was stored in the tissue releases, and the neural pathway that was running the automatic responses loses some of its activation. The thing which triggered you and made you angry every time automatically loses its pressure. Even though if it's going to happen, you just stop in between. Why am I? What is happening? Why am I operating from this? The charge itself loses its hold on you. Imagine how that would feel. And stage 3 is re-choosing with genuine understanding. Now, after the feeling has completed, the intellectual understanding becomes useful, not before, after. With adult eyes, with full information, with the emotional charge, no longer running the interception. You look at what the original event actually means or actually meant, and you consciously choose a new meaning. Not an affirmation, not a positive reframe applied on top of unprocessed emotion, a genuine adult decision about what is actually true, separate from what 7-year-old or 12-year-old or 17-year-old concluded under pressure. These three stages in a sequence, location with feeling, completion, re-choosing, is what clearing actually looks like. And it is why a 30-minute conversation that goes to the right layer can produce more shift than years of understanding based work. I want to bring this back to your business specifically because that distinction, understanding versus clearing, has a direct and measurable impact on your decisions and your results. The founder who understands their imposter loops but has not cleared it will still underprice the next proposal. They will understand exactly why they are doing it. They will be able to explain the childhood formation, the belief structure, the neutral pathway, and they will still write a number that is lower than it should be. They will be able to, let's say, raise money, a good amount of it, and burn the whole thing down just because of pure ill intent as well. Because I've seen founders doing that, raising a good amount and creating a product hype but never creating an actual product. I've seen till that extent, and finding the loopholes just to keep the money to themselves because the clearing has not happened. This is at that point, it's not only self sabotage, it's the sabotage of the whole customer market, the whole customer base, the whole fan base, the whole investor base as well. And that is not a image or a life you should be choosing either. Because the clearing doesn't happen, the charge is still in the body and the charge fires faster than the understanding. Remember that. And when that happens, your prefrontal cortex is waked out automatically because the emotions take over. Logical mind shifts. You're no longer thinking. The founder who has cleared even a portion of that charge, who has done the feeling work, the completion work, the re-choosing work, will notice the impulse to underprice. They will feel it arrive. And for the first time, they will have a genuine choice about whether to follow it or not. Not because they are stronger, because the charge has less activation. The automatic completion is no longer automatic. The gap exists. And in that gap, there is choice. This is why I do not just teach the framework of clarity calls. I use the calls to go through territory, to locate the charge with feeling and not just understanding, to begin the completion, to support the rechoosing. Because understanding what is running, you in specific, is the only beginning. The work is clearing what is running you. One reflection to sit with today. Think about the pattern you understand the best, the one you can describe most clearly, the one you have the most insight about. Now ask, have I actually cleared any of it? Or have I just gotten very good at understanding it? Because there's a way of checking that too. You will feel in much more negativity because you know what is causing the issue, but you're not doing anything about it directly. If the pattern still fires with the same intensity, if the trigger still produces the same reaction, the clearing has not happened yet. The understanding is real, the clearing is still ahead. And the clearing is where the actual shifts live. If you want to go beyond understanding and into actual clearing, that is what a loop decode session is designed for. Right now my funnel has changed and is the video journey you have to go through. You have to see the video, 17-minute videos, to get a better understanding on what the actual secret is, how I started this and why I'm doing it. After that you can book a clarity call. We go to the territory, not just a map. I give you a full foundation understanding and I understand what you're going through. The link is in the bio and in the description below.